Hey folks, JD here, and today we've got this little guy. This is the Syma X20, and it really is a small little guy. The battery is totally encased in this, and as for a bit of a change as well, the charging mechanism is just through a micro USB port. It does look as if, though, look at that. There's a little crack at the back there where the moulding is coming apart from the bottom part of the body's coming away from the top. I hope that's not the battery swelling. Oh well, I'm sure we'll find out soon. So all the propellers are already attached. They come attached as standard, likewise as the propeller guards come attached as standard. As I said in the unboxing video, these little landing sprigs here, the little rubber bungs, they are quite fragile, so just be careful when you land them. This guy here, if you can notice, look at him, he's already coming off. So I'm going to try and see if I can put that back on the best I can. There we go. Okay, so in the unboxing I said that these two buttons we'd come and have a look at on when we come to fly the quadcopter. So let's just have a quick look at the transmitter. I want to correct a few errors that I said in the unboxing. This button does nothing. This button is factory reset, so it clears all previously known configuration. These two buttons up here, both of them together are automatic landing, and both of them together are automatic takeoff as well. This one is headless mode, and this one is also 360 flip independently. So that is the transmitter. I'm a little bit dubious about this sort of type arrangement, so let's take her up. I hope this is going to work quite well, but before we started I just wanted to go over and just correct a few wrongs that I said in the unboxing. Alright then folks, so let's take her up. Okay, so this particular quadcopter has got quite a few features. It has overcurrent protection, it has low voltage warning, it has altitude hold, headless mode as well. So first of all, we're going to turn her on by holding onto the button there. Next we should have all the lights flashing. And now once again, to turn on and bind the quadcopter to the transmitter, it's just one up and one down until you see a solid green light that once was flashing, and the lights on the quadcopter are solid as well. Alright, so it's a little bit windy here today. For a larger size quadcopter, it shouldn't make a difference. For this guy, I don't know, which is why I've come to this area, which is a lot more enclosed. One other thing I want to mention as well, we've got a floor camera back for this particular flight. Mine actually broke a little while ago, but fortunately a company called Didobuy sent me this little guy, so thanks very much guys for doing that. So if you want to find out more about this company, they're in the description. Links to the website and also links to this particular product. Alright, so let me just set this guy up. Alright, so let's calibrate her first. So both of these little analog sticks, we're just going to push into the right hand corner there and just hold that down for a couple of seconds. Okay, so hopefully now that should be calibrated. So let's use the one key takeoff. Hold these two down and up she goes. Again, likewise with a lot of nanocopters, this thing does sound like a little bag of bees. But to be fair, it's flying pretty well. I'm finding this controller quite strange. Wow, this thing is pretty good. First impressions, it took off really well. Altitude hold is working really well. It flies, yeah, pretty well as well. I do wish that little red light on the front was a camera though. That would be pretty nifty. Okay, let's try this one key landing. So with this, all I'm going to do is just push these two buttons again, and then there we go, it's just landed, as simply as that. And because of the rubber on the feet as well, as I don't know if you noticed, when it came down, it did almost move back slightly, but then it stopped rather than skidding across the floor like we see with a lot of the plastic landing sprigs. Okay, so here we go again, two button takeoff. And up she goes. Ah, perfect. Again, I'm all for my gimmicks. I do like them. I do like the auto takeoff, auto landing features. It does give you one less thing to think about, as long as the landing area is, of course, clear and free. Backwards motion is pretty good as well. Sometimes a lot of nano quadcopters, when you push backwards, they do tend to to struggle a bit, and they do tend to zigzag. I don't know what that is in aid of. I don't know if it's just the blades and the motors having difficulty, but I have noticed it a few times. This guy doesn't seem to be bothered by that at all. If we just go backwards a minute, there we go. Look at that, straight backwards, no issues. Now forward. Yes, look at him go. Okay, so let's try putting it into high mode and see how that goes. So high mode is using the left shoulder button. One little click should, there we go, dip the quadcopter a bit, and now she's in high mode. You had 2 beeps from the transmitter as well. And yes, this thing is now cutting through the air. Look at that, really fighting the breeze. So the breeze we have here today is only coming in at about 2.5–3 miles an hour. As you can see, the trees are hardly moving. But for a nanocopter, that is really quite powerful. Look at him go though. This thing really is quick. Okay, let's put it back onto low mode. I don't want to eat through all the battery, and it isn't having any much difficulty in flying on low mode, so I don't really want to be harbouring the flight time. So estimated flight time from this guy is coming in at about 8 minutes according to the manual. So we'll see whether that is the case now when I come to edit, see how much film that we actually have, and if it's different to that, then I will of course report that. So here we go. This guy really is quite fun. On high mode, let's try a couple of flips. Yes, not a problem for this little guy. Not a problem at all. I'm liking the LEDs. I didn't think I would, but I'm liking the way the LEDs work on the body of the quadcopter. Normally, as we see, they're on the shoulders of the propeller arms, but not the case here. And I tell you what, that's actually pretty good. So these beeps you can hear, the 2 beeps signify high mode and the 1 beep signifies low mode, speed-wise. So that's pretty much all I'm doing, is I'm just pushing it into high mode and then back into low mode. Okay, so as with a lot of nanocopters, I like to find out what my emergency stop function is, and pretty much it is just both the analog stick to the left and to the right as well, obviously when you are on the floor there, and both of those at the left and the right position will then turn off the motors. It also has got a feature, as I mentioned at the start of the video. If the blades do become obstructed, then the motors will automatically kick out and they will stop. So that is pretty good. That's pretty good. Again, so I like the fact that even though I'm not really much of a fan of these nanocopters, I find them quite difficult to film, in so much that... Oh no, that's the battery, guys. That's it, it's just turned itself off. I have no automatic takeoff, no features whatsoever. Anyway, I'll carry on saying what I was saying, is that I do find these guys quite difficult to control sometimes, and I'm not really a fan of them as such, but I do like to see that the larger quadcopter features are making their way onto these little guys as well. Alright then, well, unfortunately that was the battery, so let's take her back and let's do a quick verdict. Alright then folks, well this little guy is actually pretty fun. He's not as difficult to control as some of the other nanocopters that we've looked at recently. This guy really does fly through the air with a lot of ease. Mode 1 is a little bit slow, but its movements aren't jerky, they are very, very smooth. Mode 2, on the other hand, is a little bit insane, even for this little guy. This little guy does tend to fly a lot, and at the time when I moved him from low to high mode, he did dip, so there's a lot more power going through these motors in order to ensure that you do get a faster speed. Again, stability wasn't an issue, very, very stable. I do like Syma Quadcopters for that. I think there's only been one Syma Quadcopter I've flown recently which hasn't been that stable, and I was a little bit disappointed with, but on the whole, still a good copter. This little guy, to be honest, if you're looking for a little nanocopter just to experiment with, then this guy is probably going to be it. He comes in at just over £20, which is, you know, it's an absolute steal. I mean, the design is fantastic. I would have preferred this little light to be in a camera, if I'm honest, just because it seems like a bit of wasted space, but that is pretty much my only criticism. Oh no, there is one more. I've lost a rubber bung. So as I said at the beginning, they do come off quite easily, and yes, this one has come off. So there we go folks. Anyway, thanks ever so much for watching and listening. I've been JD, you've been fantastic as always. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Hello and welcome to all the new subscribers. I hope you're enjoying the channel. So until next time my friends, happy flying. folks, JD here, and today we're looking at this guy. This is the Syma X15W, and it looks really quite nice. Over the past couple of days since I've done the unboxing review, I've had a little look, and I really think with this one, Syma are trying to go back to basics. They come up with a new design for their quadcopter. They're trying to get the fun back into quadcoptering, I think, without overloading on technology. Now, not saying the technology is a bad thing, but I think now and again it is nice just to go back to basics, have a real basic quadcopter, and this guy is pretty basic. It has FPV from the little front-facing camera here. It does relay it back down to your phone. Also, it has altitude hold. That altitude hold obviously keeps you at a specific altitude. It isn't GPS hold, so you will drift around. Now, today, as I'm sure you can see, it's horrible. Look at this. Absolutely horrible weather. It is raining, the wind is a little bit high. I think it's coming in about 5.5 miles an hour, so I'm going to endeavour to get this review done without this thing getting too wet. Now, we've had a bit of a lull in the rain. It's kind of subsided for the time being, so I'm going to take this guy up. A couple of words though before I do. If you want to find out any product information on this guy or any of the quadcopters that I've covered over the past year and 3/4, then please look in the description. The description will give you a link to a quadcopter, to this guy, to whichever one that I'm reviewing. If you could use that, I'd be extremely grateful. That is an affiliate link, and I'm trying my best to get myself partnered up with a big name so that I can bring you all the best quadcopters that I possibly can. Thanks folks for your support, I really appreciate it. Now, to go into this guy a little bit before we take him up, I've gone through the pre-flight checks. Obviously, I'm not a fan of these propeller guards anyway. I think they hinder a lot of flights, but on this guy they're already on, and because this is exactly how you see the quadcopter when you take it out of the box, I didn't want to deviate from that plan. I've been through all these screws, made sure they're all nice and tight, especially the ones on the back here, because I haven't done up any of these. And so far everything was nice and tight, everything is good to go. So without further ado, my friends, let's take this one up. Okay, so let's pop on this guy. So just a little quick press and hold on the red button on the top here. Obviously you should see these lights flash. That just lets you know that the quadcopter is on. It's at this point I'm going to connect my phone to the quadcopter, and then we're going to open up this application, the Syma Go app. We've had a little look at this app. I've done a video on this app which you'll find in the description as well. So let's take her up. All right, up we go, and here we are, just feathering her a little bit just to see how she reacts. Wow, she's remarkably still. Remarkably still. Look at this. Beautiful. Okay, let's take her out. Oh, fair play. She really does seem... God, she feels really delicate as she flies. She really does. You push the top left shoulder button, then that will give you automatic takeoff, and a longer press gives you a landing. So here we go, speed mode 2. This only has 2 speed modes. It is flying through the air. We've got a little bit of a breeze today, as I said, and it seems to be cutting in through that. One thing I noticed straight away is the motor sound, the motor noise. There hardly is any. It is so quiet. It really is. I mean, with the Syma X5UW and X5UC, those things screeched. Absolutely screamed. And this thing, which is a lot smaller than those 2 quadcopters, this thing really is quiet. It's incredibly quiet. Now, I'm feathering the, if you're wondering why the quadcopter's wobbling a little bit like that as it's going up and down, I'm feathering the quadcopter a little bit to just bring the altitude down a little bit. I don't want it going too high, just simply because of this breeze, and this quadcopter is very light. So, out of the 2 speed modes, first speed mode is extremely slow, to the point where if I use low speed mode in this little breeze, which is, don't forget, just coming in over 5 miles an hour, it'll actually blow the quadcopter backwards. So I don't want that. I always want my flights to be nice and safe, and this is why I'm flying in speed mode 2. This is enough power to cut through this breeze and give you quite a lot extra power as well. So far, I'm quite taken with her. She's really feels really delicate in the air. I don't know why. Could be this really, could be the small size on this transmitter, could be the fact that there's not a lot of sound coming from the motors, and could be that all of her movements are very precise. This seems like a fantastic beginner quadcopter. I mean, look at it. It's just beautiful. But all in all, she is a brilliant little flying machine. She really is, and she cuts through this breeze. Okay, let's try some 360 flips. That is the bottom left-hand shoulder button. Oh, lovely. No problems there. Right, I'm going to turn off the video recording there just so I don't waste all the battery on video. Okay, this quadcopter does also allow app control flying, so you can fly it directly from the app. That also gives you flight path mode, as we know from previous quadcopters. That only works if you are using the app, even though the function is available when you're using the transmitter with the smartphone attached to the FPV boom. Unfortunately, that does not work unless it is in full smartphone control. The flight plan, pretty much, if you've never used it, you draw a plan on your smartphone and the quadcopter follows it. Counteracting the breeze really well. Oh, that's the battery. Okay, let's take her out a couple more times. I'm not going to let that one get in the way of a good flight. Okay then folks, let's bring her back in. So let's use the one-touch landing. Oh, that's not bad, a little bit bumpy, but all in all, that's not bad. Alright, let's get a verdict. Okay, so thoughts on the Syma X15W. A fantastic lightweight quadcopter, great for beginners, great for intermediates, great for advanced users. 2 speed modes, slow, well, very slow, and yeah, actually quite quick. Enough to cut through a 5.5 mile an hour. Enough to cut through a 5 mile an hour breeze. Now, as you can see, FPV camera on the front. We're going to have a little look at this, at the quality of the footage when I get back and start editing. Now, what it looked like to me, it didn't look to break. It looked like the quality, it looked like the footage was actually going to be really good. So we'll see about that in a bit. Altitude hold worked flawlessly as usual. I didn't use the app to control this smartphone today because the weather itself is not very good, and I didn't want my finger to slip on the screen or anything like that, as it has started to rain now. Now let's have a little look at the transmitter. Now, I think a lot of people focus a lot on the quadcopter. Yes, that is the fun bit, but these guys should get the recognition as well. This transmitter is awesome. They've scaled it down in size next to the Syma X5UW and X5UC transmitters, and it's just beautiful. Nice little bit of styling to the transmitter as well. Fits in your hand extremely well. The shoulder buttons are so easy to touch. Obviously, don't forget this is takeoff and landing, and this is 360 flips. These two don't have any sort of any use on this quadcopter, which is a bit of a shame, but it does give you a couple of buttons less to think about. All in all, the FPV boom works tremendously well. The spring is nice and strong, holds onto your phone, it feels secure. That's what it's all about. And also the transmitter range, there weren't any issues between here and the bottom of the basketball court in communication between the transmitter and the quadcopter. So all in all, if you want a really cheap, really good quadcopter that will cut through the breeze, that looks good, that is so silent in its flight with really bright LEDs, then this guy is somebody to check out, most definitely. Obviously, as I said at the start of the video, there is going to be a link in the description, and in all the other descriptions there are links to all the quadcopters should you want to know more. So thanks ever so much for watching and listening, my friends. I've been JD, you've been fantastic as always. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Hello and welcome to all the new subscribers. I hope you're enjoying the channel. So until next time, my friends, happy flying. Hey folks, JD here, and today we're looking at this guy. This is the Syma X9, the fly car. It is a quadcopter car. It looks really quite cool. Really does look like as if it has been made in a wind tunnel. Really aerodynamic to all of its features. Looks vaguely reminiscent of a land speed record car. Without further ado, let's just take a quick little look underneath and refresh ourselves with what's going on here. So we've got two red LEDs at the back, two white LEDs at the front. We've got an on and off switch in the middle here and a battery bay door just sitting there. That's literally it. There's no camera on this. There is nothing else. So what we'll do is we'll just open this up. That's already plugged in. That's good. The battery took about an hour and 20 minutes to charge. Let's lock that down. Right, there we go. Let's pop you on. So there we go, there's those white LEDs at the front and the red LEDs at the back. Let's pop you down. Let's bind you to the transmitter. Simple one up, one down motion. That's it. The LEDs now, I don't know how well you can see that, but they are now solid. Okay, so first of all, well, let's try it off in car mode. Should be just the right throttle to move her off. Same as we saw with the JJRC. Now this is a little bit more erratic than the JJRC. It doesn't want to drive straight forward as we saw with the JJRC did. Now we're on the same tarmac as with the other one. Wow, its turning really is quick. From a speed perspective, those seems to be about the same. I wonder if I push her into high mode whether we'll get any faster out of her. Yes, we do. So from low mode, so in low mode, which is this speed, into fast mode, you can really hear she does really kick up. Obviously if you do fly her in or drive her in high mode, chances are you are going to drain the battery a lot quicker. So let's put it back into low, and with that being said, let's take her off. So the operation of the quadcopter is exactly the same. Push in the left analog stick in order to take off. Oh, this is really nice. So no altitude hold, so with the right throttle you're going to want to use that with the left throttle you're going to want to use that just to accelerate, just to give you enough lift. And then you're going to want to probably just feather that throttle stick just to maintain the altitude. She is dropping altitude a bit and I'm not moving the stick. She seems to be a bit more stable now. Okay, let's give her a little bit more altitude so that she doesn't hit the railings there. Okay, let's pop her into high mode. Not really much of a difference from the quadcopter perspective, but certainly is from the car perspective. I've just popped her back into low speed there. Quite noisy motors on her, but I'll pretty much forgo that this time, because you can just drop her to the ground and she turns into a car. Simple things, I know folks, simple things, but to be honest with you, it's such a good combination, the quadcopter car. Okay. Quite a bit of noise coming from those motors as it operates as a quadcopter. She's really steady, she's really stable, really easy to control. I mean, for a copter that doesn't have altitude hold, she's doing really quite well. Just with staying at the same altitude. Yeah, this is excellent. This is really excellent. Okay, let's drop her down and push her back into car. Oh no. Looks like we've got a bit of a problem. Wheels are turning. Wheels will turn left and right, but they won't go forward or back. Oh, is that because that one's a little bit... There we go. A little bit of fine tuning and she's back operable as a car. Okay, so I don't know how that happened. Seemed that the back right wheel was pushed in a little bit and the motor couldn't turn. Okay, so back as a car, back as a quad, and again everything operates as it should do, as intended. Really is a lot of fun. Okay, and with that, let's bring her down into car. Haha! So much fun. Oh, batteries look like they're going a bit. Okay, so what we'll do, let's take her and fly her back to the helipad. Perfect. Excellent stuff, there we go. Alright folks, let's go for a verdict. Alright then folks, well this is brilliant. I've had so much fun with this today. Sometimes the simple things are just so much fun. This has no altitude hold, no FPV, it's got no mod cons apart from it being a car and a quadcopter, and to be honest with you, that is just enough. She flies really well, her directional movements are really good as a quadcopter. Likewise, her directional movements as a car are brilliant, although she is a little bit erratic when you turn left and right, so be warned with that when you are driving her in car mode. That being said though, this aerodynamic body is just absolutely fantastic. Really good, and she does cut through the air in low mode and in high as well. So you haven't got that issue in low mode that I have found here today when you try to fly her and she's just banking forward and she won't go anywhere. This really does shift. All in all, a fantastic little quadcopter. Motors are a little bit loud for my liking, but at least they do all sound the same. Issue on this back wheel here, for some reason it stopped turning once the quadcopter picked up from a car into a quad. So all I did is basically pull this wheel out a little bit. I think it was far too much pressure being pushed on this motor, so therefore it couldn't turn the wheels. Since I did that, it's worked absolutely fine, no issues whatsoever. So, that being said folks, I definitely think this is a quadcopter to look at, especially if you want one just for fun. Alright then folks, so thanks ever so much for watching and listening. I've been JD, you've been fantastic as always. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Hello, and thank you to all the new subscribers. We are now over 300 subscribers. Thank you ever so much guys for your support. It does mean the world. So until next time my friends, happy flying. Hey folks, JD here, and today we are looking at this guy. This is the flight test of the Syma X5UC. Such a lovely shape. Doesn't matter how many times I see it, it really does stand out as such a great shape to me. So we've got two batteries, one plugged in and ready to go, and the other one sitting around waiting. So both charged. Both should be good for double flight time. A couple of things I've done this morning, just make sure I've come with the SD card, made sure the camera's on nice and still, nice and steady. Also been through the pre-flight checks, made sure that all of these propellers are on, as I didn't fit them. Make sure that all the landing sprigs are on nice and safely as well, and that's pretty much everything for this particular copter. Everything else is already moulded, all screws are all done up quite nice and tight. So without further ado, let's take her up. So what we'll do is we'll push and hold once There we go, on the on button. You know it's on when you've got the green LEDs denoting the back and the orange LEDs denoting the front. Let's pop her down. Now then, let's turn on the transmitter. Once up, once down, binds to the quadcopter. Now we should have a different LED display. They should all be nice and solid, not flashing. So that's great. Alright, so let's start recording some video. And then let's take her up with this particular button here. You should see that the motors start and she takes off up to an altitude in which the barometer then takes over. There we go, we're up, we're active. A little bit bobby up and down, but let's bring it back to me. Let's see, there's a little bit of a breeze here today, not much, as you can see from the trees right in front of me, but she seems a little bit bobby up and down. First impressions with this are exactly the same as when we flew the X5 UW. They are such great little copters, same as any Symas, that anybody can really pick up and fly. They really are great out of the box. This does seem to be really underpowered though. Did you see that turn? Really doesn't seem to be wanting to go anywhere. I don't know. Yeah, that was really strange, almost as if the motors aren't powerful enough to stop it mid-flight. Let's see if we can do it again, just to demonstrate. So we'll take her up, turn her around, and then accelerate forward. See, there's that lag. Didn't have that in the last one. That is quite strange. Just to be on the safe side, I don't like how she's flying. Let's bring her down. Let's stop the motors just with the same button as it was for you guys to take off. Now let's just calibrate the gyros again, because there's something that doesn't feel right about this copter. She seems very bobby up and downy. She doesn't seem to be holding her altitude very well at all. Let's have a little look. See, she's very up and down, which, you know, you can excuse to some extent because her altitude hold is not GPS driven, therefore it is barometer driven. It is such a cold day today, she's probably getting a few different pressure readouts, but still you would really hope that it would be a little bit better. Look at it, that's me pitching forward. There is a terrible lag, wow! That is crazy! Okay, let's take her up, let's spin her around. Sorry about this intense glare with the sun, folks. I'm hoping soon to get a new camera that will be a little bit better in high light situations. See, I think all in all, she's definitely struggling a bit. And as you can see, there is no wind from the trees in front. So we have an extremely calm day. Very loud motors. Let's see if we can increase the speed of her. That normally does it with a lot of quadcopters. As soon as you increase the speed a little bit, they get a little bit better. He's quite quick to react when you want to accelerate upwards, like that, and when you want to decrease your altitude. Doesn't seem to be there. When you turn him, and then when you accelerate, he doesn't seem to auto-correct and want to come forward very well. See? He just seems really, really laggy on the power. Okay. Well, it is fun to fly, I'll be honest. It feels just like another Syma copter. You know it's going to be reliable. But it does feel as if there is something missing. going backwards is a different matter. She flies backwards with quite an increased force. If I can just show you that. So we go forwards a little way, right? And then I'll stop her, and then we push her backwards, and she really does fly backwards really quickly. Not great when it comes to powering on after an initial corner. I quite expect, and we've seen this a lot recently, that when it comes to powering on a quadcopter, after you make a corner, you power on, and then there's no floating backwards, there's just that spin forward. I've become really used to that with a lot of the quadcopters that we have flown. This guy, unfortunately, not. I don't remember this being an issue in the UW, which I think is the successor to this. So they obviously must have sorted that out in order for that quadcopter, because I remember that being really stable, really nimble, where this guy isn't. But yeah, so they must have sorted it out there. Obviously the main two differences between those two copters is one is the UW is FPV, the UC, which is this one, is not FPV, doesn't even have an FPV holder or anything like that. But does have the ability to record video, which I'm hoping is what this is doing now. Oh, this looks like the batteries are going, and flat out and nothing. Yeah, there we are, she's landed and turned herself off. Right, so let's unplug that, and let's... Wow, that battery is really quite warm. Crazy. And let's plug this one in. Oh, this one seems to be dead. There's nothing. Yeah, this one is dead, folks. Let's put the dead one in the depleted one rather, in my pocket. Whereas this battery here, yeah, this one is totally gone. Try and see, give it a bit of force there, in case the contacts weren't meeting. No, totally gone, totally dead. That's it. So we've only got, even though we've had the two batteries, only one of them work. That's a real shame, that's a real letdown. Right, well, I tell you what then, folks, let's get straight into the verdict. I'll order a new battery, and then I'll come back out and we'll do another recording with this particular quadcopter with the two batteries a little bit further on down the line. So what is there to say about this copter? Well, this would be, I'm guessing, this would be the first copter in the line of the two new style drones. So you've got the UC and you've got the UW. The UW seems to have a lot of these functions fixed, so don't be put off from getting that one, I would say. This one, unfortunately, does seem to be a little bit buggy. It doesn't seem to want to turn correctly. After you've turned and your initial pull back to come back in a different direction, she tends to hang there a little bit. Think of it a little bit like turbo lag. You put your foot down on the accelerator, a couple of seconds goes past, and then it picks up. It's a lot like that. So as you're coming around, you'll turn corners and you'll point forward, and it'll take a while in order for him to come back. But in saying that, if you do crank up the power to high, better to respond, although that lag is still there. Auto takeoff and auto landing, fantastic, works every time. 360 flips didn't work at all. Recording video and photo, well, fingers crossed, we'll see what happens when I take this SD card back out and see if we have any video there. Yeah, all in all, it seems to be quite a fun copter. Don't be expecting too much though, and honestly, I wouldn't go for this one. I would go for the UW, because then you get the added features of FPV as well. But in saying that, this isn't terrible, it just needs to have the kinks fixed. So there we are, folks. Thanks ever so much for watching and listening. I've been JD, you've been fantastic as always. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and hello and thank you to all the new subscribers. Hope you're enjoying the channel. So until next time, my friends, happy flying. folks, it's JD here, and today I thought we'd have a little look at this guy again. We had a comment on the feed, I think it was by a chap named Aaron. And he said that when I tried to do the flight plan, he said, "Oh, you're doing it wrong." He said it only works if you disconnect from the transmitter and use your smart device. So I thought, great, lovely. If that's the case, fantastic. We'll have a little look again and see whether we can get this guy to just use the flight plan. So yeah, let's. I've connected it to the Wi-Fi, tested it, and it works. That was a little bit tricky. I'll go into that after the flight. But yeah, let's see if we can get it to take off and follow flight plan. All right. So what we should be able to do now is we should be able to take off. Here she goes, automatic takeoff. So the automatic takeoff feature is brilliant, I gotta be honest. It's a feature that I really enjoy. And even now, it's been a few months since me flying this little copter, which is the Syma X5UW. I still find that its appeal is still really quite high. Okay, so she's wobbling a little bit. I've got a little bit of Wi-Fi interference here, so she's not keeping a very steady line, but that's okay because we've done the initial review and it was very good, I thought. So let's see whether we can get it to follow flight plan. So let's bring it back a little bit, just a little bit. Oh, you are very, very, yeah, a bit of Wi-Fi interference, so let's bring her back a little bit more. Okay, now to follow flight plan, let's bring up the flight plan, so it would be this little button here, and then let's draw a straight line. Okay, so let's use a little bit of trim and see whether that helps to keep her in one place. Oh. No, she still seems to be moving a little bit. Okay, so let's turn her around a little bit. Let's try flight plan. So, flight plan, straight line. Oh, was that it actually working? Ha! Yes, it was! Oh, to do it this way, that is brilliant. I've never known a non-GPS quadcopter to actually do that. Every one that I've tried has failed. So now I think I got to go back and have a little look and see the others and see whether controlling it via Wi-Fi actually does the job. That is brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant. Haha, right then. So let's take her up a little bit. Let's fly her on this Wi-Fi 2.4 frequency from my smartphone for a little bit. I've got to be honest, she's handling really quite well. Oh, that was my fault. As with most Wi-Fi devices, I've lost a little bit of signal now, and she is taking a little bit of time to respond to my controls. So probably best that we don't go as high as all that. She's, yeah, again, still, I mean, it's been, what has it been? I think I did this in November, if I believe. She is still very, very good. She is still pretty much worth it, if I'm honest. I do believe that she's a great little copter. All right. Well, let's bring her in again. I'm going to try flight plan one last time, just because I think that is pretty nifty. Okay, so let's have her just above us. Let's bring her down slightly. Whoa. Come on in, fella. Down you come. Hello. Right. Let's kind of stop you there. Let's bring you a little bit more centered. Okay, flight plan, straight line please. And now back to me. And now straight line and curve. Ooh, is she going to be able to do this? Oh, well, she just goes forward and then back, but still, it is flying autonomously. Brilliant. Alright, then let's bring her down. I'm losing Wi-Fi signal here by the second. So you can see there the little bars. Alright then, let's bring her down. Don't forget, automatic landing should be Right, all in all, again, a lot of fun. Took her out, yeah, just to basically see where the flight plan worked. Got a little bit carried away and just started to fly her. Yeah, so when I connected to Wi-Fi, let's just knock that off a little bit. I had a bit of trouble. Wouldn't connect to Wi-Fi straight off. So I had to turn on the transmitter, then connect to Wi-Fi, then turn off the transmitter, then start the copter, and that sort of strange little sequence enabled me to then fly her off the app on my phone. So I think that's when I first took her out. That's the issues that I experienced when it came to me flying her on the app, because it just wouldn't connect to Wi-Fi. So that's what led me to believe that, oh, hang on, even though it says it's app based, it must be app based just for the FPV. So that's good. It's good to do these corrections. It's good that you guys commented and let me know, nope, that's wrong, can we have a little look at it again? I'm more than happy to do that. So yeah, there we go. I mean, used flight plan forward and backwards, did a little loop and she went forwards and then she just came back in a straight line, but it doesn't matter because she still flew autonomously, and that to me, that's brilliant. So yeah, excellent, really enjoyed it. I'm going to have to, I think, do a little bit more with this little guy. He's quite underrated, I think. So there we are, folks. Thanks ever so much for watching and listening. I've been JD, you've been fantastic as always. Hello to all the new subscribers, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. That will just give you a little gentle email as to when I put out the videos. The video schedule is 3 times a week. It is on a Monday, it is on a Wednesday, and it is on a Saturday. So there we have it. So until next time, my friends, happy flying. Okay, hi guys. Today we're doing the flight test of the Syma X5 C1. Thank you to everyone who's watched the unboxing video. This is the subsequent flight. A couple of things just to tidy up before we go any further. In the unboxing video I said that this particular trim button, actually I called it a trim button. I was very much mistaken. These 3 buttons here are trim. This button, if you push down, is video, to record video, and if you push up it'll take a photograph. This shoulder button here, this shoulder button will, if once enabled, you can do 3D flips. So I just wanted to clear that up before we go any further. Okay, so we've got our batteries. Everything should be ready to go. Let's just plug her in. Right, give me a second. Okay, so we're all in there. As I said in the unboxing video, just be careful when you push this straw back in, because it is quite flimsy at the back. Okay, so everything looks to be in working order. The ground is quite wet, as I did say in the unboxing video. The motors are open, they are exposed, so I'm going to be flying it off this old tree stump here. Okay, so we should be ready to go. Okay, let's take her up. Okay. Okay, so as you notice, this particular copter does not have altitude hold, which does mean that you will be needing to be a little bit more skilled in flying it. Unfortunately, I am not. So let's bring her around a bit and take her out for a little bit and see what we can capture. Okay, let's push the video button. Okay, let's just leave her fly up there for the minute. I'm just leaving her hold a little bit, just so that we can get some good footage, some good aerial footage. Okay, let's bring her down a bit. I don't want to go in too high. Let's bring her back over to me a bit as well. Okay. So, first thing is to note about this particular copter, that it is very, very stable. There aren't many copters on the market that as soon as you take off you get pretty much a straight flight. There is a little bit of wind here today in sunny Bristol on this beautiful Sunday. So I am not going to be taking her too far out, just in case the wind takes her and I can't bring her back, because I've learnt that lesson once before. Okay, so we are looking pretty good actually. Let's see which way I'm pointing. So I'm pointing that way. Okay, let's turn around a little bit. Let's bring her back in towards me a bit. Let's drop the altitude slightly. Okay, because obviously there's a tree behind me. Okay, so as you're probably noticing, there is a bit of a fine line between getting her to hover, bringing her back down, and then the engine's cutting out. Again, that's probably me, as I'm not a very experienced flyer as of yet. So let's bring her up a bit. Get a couple of dogs in the distance. Don't want them going crazy for this. Okay, let's bring her down a bit. Let's bring her over to me. Let's turn her around. Let's avoid this tree. Okay. So, I don't know if any of you have noticed, but as of this flight I haven't used any trim buttons at all. She is so stable in the air, which makes for fantastic flying. Okay. Oh, that's nice. Okay, so that was a little bit, engine's cut out. I needed to quickly bring her back, so I did, and she was falling upside down, and then she wrote herself and put herself into the correct position. Okay, that was very good. Okay, so let's just turn her around to me a bit. Bring her home a bit now. Okay, so she's quite high with us. Let's bring her down a bit. Let's bring her into me. Okay, let's bring her down a bit more. Let's bring her over to me. Okay, so dropping altitude of these particular copters, the ones especially without altitude hold, is quite a slow process. It's not something you want to rush. It's most definitely something that will take a bit of time. Okay, so let's bring her back in, and once this nice dog walker is passed, then then we'll take her back up. That's no problem. Okay, so let's just bring her over to me. Okay, I don't know if that was intentionally aimed at us. I don't think so. Okay, I'm gonna believe that anyway. Okay, so then let's bring her down. So, in case any of you missed when when I killed the engines and she automatically righted herself, let's do it again. Engines killed. That is very funky. Right, which way am I pointing? That way. Okay, let's take her back up. Okay, there we are. Okay, so let's go and collect her. So she's landed. So there we go. No throttle, no power on. You can see the little LCD screen there showing that there's no throttle. So let's go. It's safe to go and collect her. Okay, so there we have it. This is the Syma X5C1. This is the updated version. So yeah, that flight test was pretty good. She was, there was a little bit of moisture there. She was extremely stable, did not need to use the trim buttons at all. This quadcopter is especially good, especially for amateurs like myself, to intermediates. Of course, if you wanted something that was a little bit more technically advanced, as in with flight control, or hover control, altitude hold, as well as FPV flying, then most definitely the JD 509 is for you. Okay, so there we have it. Thanks very much for watching. Please subscribe, leave your comments, and let us know what you think. Okay, thanks very much. Goodbye. Hey folks, JD here, and today we've got this. This is the Syma X21, and it looks really quite nice. It's a lot bigger, it's a lot fatter than its predecessor, the Syma X20. Now that nanocopter blew me away. It was so stable, it flew like a much larger quadcopter. All in all, I thought it was absolutely fantastic. So as soon as I saw this guy go live, I bought him. He's got some massive shoes to fill as this guy, but I'm hoping he can do it. So what are we looking at? Well, we've got a couple of good features in here. Unfortunately, this is not the camera model, otherwise there would be a nice little camera inside there. But we do still have automatic takeoff, automatic landing, altitude hold, as well as 3D flips. So there's a load of different features inside this guy. Okay, so what about the transmitter? Well, the transmitter is a pretty standard Syma transmitter that we've seen many times before. Obviously, it has quite a nice little shape to it. It does hug your hands really quite nice as you are flying. I find these transmitters really, really good. The original one that came with the Syma X20 was excellent. I didn't think it was going to be. It was a brand new style transmitter, but I was blown away by how good it was. I hope in this guy is no different. If we go by some of the other Syma quadcopters that we've flown with similar transmitters, I think we're going to be just fine. So with that, let's take her up. Alright, so let's pop her on, and then let's pop on and bind using standard up and down configuration on the left thumbstick there. There we are, so we're all bound, all LEDs are nice and solid. So let's use the automatic takeoff, and up we go. Beautiful. So it flew up to about 1/2 meter and then just stayed there. Obviously altitude hold is not GPS lock, so we are going to still be looking at this guy floating around a bit. But to be honest, on this really cold day, he's not doing too bad. He seems to be really, really quite stable. So let's take him up, let's fly him around a bit, and let's see how he handles. Wow, that LED in the front, that white one, is really bright. To be honest, the two on the back, the green, and are much easier to see than the two red on the front. Don't know if it's just because the quadcopter is red itself, and therefore it's kind of detracting a little bit from the lights, perhaps. But still, first impressions, just flying around in a circle and then flying in a zigzag formation. This guy is, well, he's sticking to the same altitude without any issue. I'm feathering him up and down a little bit, just to see how he handles as I manoeuvre him. And to be honest, he's at first impression seems to be really good. He seems to be no different flying than the Syma X20. If anything, actually, what I will say is that he seems to be a little bit quicker. The Syma X20 on speed mode 1 was extremely slow. Let's try speed mode 2. Speed mode 2, wow, this guy kicks into life. Absolutely. And he really does fly. Now in speed mode 2 he did dip a little bit there, but we have got an excessively cold day today, so it could have just been that maybe the barometer couldn't read correctly. So, all in all though, yeah, this guy seems to be quite good. Do we have a third speed mode? We don't. We have two. We have speed mode 1, and then we have speed mode 2, which you just activate just by pushing down the right thumbstick. Ha ha! Yes, mate. Fair play. This guy turns really, really well. Stops really well, and then continues without any hesitation. So if I just fly him around by me for a second, a couple of quite easy manoeuvres just to see how he handles, and I don't think there's any issue. I don't think there's any issue there at all. Look at him go. Okay, so what I would like to test out automatic landing and see how that goes. So let's bring him back to me a little bit, and then let's push. Oh, there we go. Very slow. So push the the right front shoulder button. Oh, there we go. And that was quite nice. Yes, he feathered a little bit toward just before he landed. But he landed, and he landed really gently, and more to the point, all these landing sprigs are intact. So that's 1 point to the Syma X21 versus its predecessor, who currently has 0 points for that, because its predecessor completely knackered up these landing sprigs on first landing. Okay, let's try the automatic takeoff again. So let's pop him on the ground. Automatic takeoff is this top shoulder button here. When you first click it and the motors just spin, I couldn't hear them, they're so quiet. Now I do believe these motors are a little bit louder than the Syma X20, but that is not something that I mind with this guy, just simply because he is a lot more powerful. Or at least he seems to be a lot more powerful. I have to check to see what the motor configuration is of this. But yeah, he certainly seems to be chewing up this... is that battery already? Oh, I have been running it on speed mode 2, so that is going to chew into the battery time. Let's pop it back to 1 and see whether or not I can try and see if I can squeeze a bit more time out of this guy. But it's nice because I didn't see the red flashing LEDs on the front of this guy, but I certainly did see that white flashing LED. So that's one major downside, I think, is that the two red LEDs at the front you can't see. Not very well. The two green at the back are very bright, likewise the white one at the front is very bright as well. Okay, well, so far this guy has really done really well. I'm really quite happy with it. It is an exceptional flyer. I mean, as you can see, he is so straight, so true. He doesn't falter when he flies. Absolutely not. In speed mode 1 and or 2. Let's put him back into 2. Let's give him a little bit more speed just before his motor's cut out. So it is quite nice with this particular quadcopter that you can get to the battery, unlike the Syma X20, which is behind a screwed case on the bottom of the quadcopter. This guy, the battery does come out, and it really is nice to have that. Because at least you have the option if the battery does die because of multiple flights. Oh! Let's try automatic takeoff. No, nothing. That's it. We are dead in the water. As I was saying, it is nice to have this battery visible and accessible, just so that if you do decide that you want to replace it because the battery itself is knackered, then you can do so, and with quite some ease as well. Alright then folks, let's get a verdict on this guy. So what do I think of the Syma X21? Well, to be honest with you, I think it's just as good as the Syma X20, and that is a good that is good praise, because the Syma X20 was the first nanocopter that I flew that I actually enjoyed flying, and that didn't seem to be a chore to fly because it just flew so well. It glides through the air without any issue whatsoever, and this guy does exactly the same. Now I do think this guy is a little bit more powerful, mind you, so that does go a long way, because the other guy just was powerful, but only when you got into higher speed modes, whereas this guy, speed mode 1, doesn't seem to be that much of an issue. Speed mode 2, obviously you see the front of the quadcopter dip quite considerably, and it's off, it's gone. And yeah, I think that's really good. It's good to have two speed modes where there's a lot of difference, but speed mode 1 has got some power. I do like that. Now, altitude hold was, well, absolute perfection in my eyes. It's -1 here today, and I often see a lot of feathering with the quadcopters as the barometer reads multiple different pressures going round, and it didn't with this. It just stayed at the same altitude. I was feathering it up and down to see if I could make it shake or anything like that as it was going round. No issues. Flew around in a zigzag formation, flew around in a couple of ovals, couple of circles and a square, and once again no issues whatsoever. So I would highly recommend this guy, and I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of this guy in the future videos. Alright then folks, so thanks ever so much for watching and listening. I've been JD, you've been fantastic as always. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Hello and welcome to all the new subscribers. I hope you're enjoying the channel. So until next time, my friends, happy flying. Hey folks, JD here, and today, on this really icy morning, I bring you this. This is the Syma X22W, and this is the third iteration in the family of X20 nanocopters. So we had the X20, the X21, and now the X22W. This time I've made sure I've gone for the camera version, just to have a little look and see, because the other two models that we were looking at, they weren't the camera model, and I just wanted to see the difference. Now here we've got the same features that we looked at in the X20 and the X21. So we've got automatic takeoff, landing, we've got altitude hold, obviously we have a camera on the front, so we have the ability to use a smart device to control this. That's something we're going to be doing straight off the bat. As well as 4 LEDs, 2 in the front and 2 in the back. Now in my first testing of this, just before I take it out, I always spin up the quad, lift it up inside the house just to ensure that everything's okay. I did notice that the LEDs weren't very bright on the front, so I may have to double check that just to make sure. Now, as you can see with this, we have one battery just slotted in the back, just like that. I've got the second one with me should we need it, like should this one not hold a charge properly, or should this one just die prematurely. All in all, this looks quite nice. Very, very different shape to the other two that we've seen. This is more of a bullet shape, whereas the other two were more of a standard quadcopter, quite fat, quite wide shape. Okay, so what about the transmitter? Well, that's pretty standard. We've seen this with a load of different Syma Quadcopters, being nano and larger quadcopters as well. We've got our 4 shoulder buttons, one for taking photos, one for taking video, one for automatic takeoff and landing, and the other one for 360 flips, as well as we have our 2 standard analog sticks either side as well, and no buttons down the center console of the transmitter. So I tell you what, let's just take her up. This time we're going to take her up first using the smart device. Okay, so here we go. So what we're going to do first is just knock on the drone. There we go. Now we're going to go direct and look for its open Wi-Fi connection. Then we're going to connect to it. There we are. And come on, and secured. Yes, 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 yes. Yeah, there we go. Now we are going to open up the Syma Go app. Okay, let's click start. We should have video relaying back straight away, hopefully. Yes, there we go. Alright. Alright, so we're just going to turn her on, and then when we turn her on, oh, come on. There we go. So we've got the motor spinning ever so slowly. Then we're going to push up, and then hopefully up she goes. Right, let's have a little look. So I'm just going to move the controller a little bit. I just want to get a feel for if she's actually working well. Oh, she's working alright actually. She's not doing too badly on the smart device. I'm not going to take her out too far, just in case something does go wrong. So I'm just going to pull her in and just take her around a few times. Now for the second I'm not recording any video, and she does seem to be very slow to respond in going forward. So what I'm going to do here is just turn her, and then we're just going to bring her back to me. Look at that, she is struggling to respond. Now it could be because we are -4 here today, or it could just be because she is just struggling to respond. Look at that, I'm pushing forward up as much as I possibly can. Oh, now she's coming forward. Okay, so it's a transmitter signalling issue. So if I stay quite close to her, then we shouldn't. There we go. If I stay quite close, I don't have any issues whatsoever. See? Look at that. Really responsive as long as I stay, well, I'm not going to say dangerously close because it is a nanocopter at the end of the day, but as long as I stay very close to her, she's very responsive. Okay, so that's don't know how I feel about that. If I'm honest, I quite like to get a bit of distance between me and the quadcopter, just from a safety point of view if nothing else. Okay, well I tell you what, it's working with the transmitter, so let's bring her down for a bit of automatic landing. Come on, down, down. It's feathering, so I'm just going to help it a little bit and just bring it down. There we go. Okay, so now we're down. So we've flown on the transmitter, we've landed on the transmitter. Landing was a bit of a nightmare on the transmitter, on the smart device. So let's swap over for the proper transmitter that came with this and see how the quadcopter controls with that instead. Okay, so we're back on the landing pad. As you can see now, the LEDs are flashing. This will just let you know that I have disconnected the smartphone. So what I'm going to do is just turn off the quadcopter, then turn it back on, and then bind quite simply by turning on the transmitter. One up, one down motion. All LEDs, including the one on the transmitter, are now solid. So from here I'm just going to calibrate the gyros, just to make sure, because this is something I couldn't do from the smartphone app. So let me just do it a few times, okay, in every direction that I know, and from here let's take her up and let's see how we get on with this one. So using the top closest shoulder arm on the right to you, up we go. So first of all, what I'm going to do is stand away back, because I like to have a bit of distance, as I said, and look, no problem whatsoever. It's a shame, I should have brought another smartphone with me to do another check on a different device. But straight from the transmitter, oh, absolutely, as you'd expect, no problem. Handles, now, this is going to be a little bit controversial considering what I've just said about the smartphone, but this handles a lot nicer than the X21. Now, the X21 was the much upgraded, I think, version of the X20. Now, the X22, being this one, is now upgraded a little bit more, and it seems to be dancing around a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to check these extra speed modes. I'm going to click the right thumb analog stick, and here we go, speed mode 2. The copter dipped quite a bit, but up it goes, and flying around remarkably well. Okay, let's try this automatic landing as well. So, should be the same button as the takeoff. One click, as we saw, it feathered a lot because the barometer was reading different temperatures towards the bottom of the floor here. There we go, boom, straight down, no problem whatsoever this time. Okay, so let's turn this round. Let's take it back up. And the camera quality from obviously this is the first X20 style quadcopter that I've had that has a camera on the front, and looking from my smart device, it looked as if the camera was okay. Wasn't great, but it was okay. And to be honest, out of a little indoor-outdoor copter like this, you're not going to have, you know, phantom quality. It's not going to be incredible, as the lens isn't going to be very, very expensive. But at the same time, it's a camera, it records video, takes photo, it's going to be okay. A couple of 3D flips. I do love flips. I do love 3D flips and rolls. Oh, but she's not doing them one after each other. Okay, let's bring her back to me. Let's take her up a little bit higher. Let's hit the button again. No, see that? Oh, now she will. Okay. Just a bit strange that a lot of quadcopters will just flip after flip after flip after flip. And I'm not aware of this having any new technology in which... So she did 2 there, and now she won't go any further. Oh well, but at least she's flipping, that's fine. That's not a problem. Right, so yeah, all in all, very happy. I'm happy I've done a couple of 3D flips. Let's bring her down. Alright, let's bring her down, let's land her. And I tell you what, let's get a little verdict on this little guy. Okay, so verdict. Well, this little guy, if we start off as we began with on the video, so the smartphone. I was less than impressed, very jittery, very difficult to try and get it to relay my controls back at me through the quadcopter. But what I did notice was when I got closer to the quadcopter, it actually responded a lot better. So that just led me to believe that there is actually a little bit of a signal issue, which is a bit strange because, well, I'm running an iPhone 8 and I haven't had any other issues with any other quadcopters, so that does raise a bit of a concern for this guy. So I thought I'd bring her down and then we take her up with the transmitter. Did that, and no problems whatsoever. Absolutely perfect. Same as the X20, same as the X21. Absolutely no issue whatsoever. I wish I'd brought another phone with me to test using another device to see whether or not I had the same issues on there. So I'm going to probably be back and do that. Now, as for the camera quality was okay. It's not brilliant. It's not terrible. Obviously, the camera itself does relay video back through to the smartphone app, and that is how I recorded the video direct on this guy. Automatic takeoff, brilliant. Automatic landing, brilliant. A lot better on the transmitter than it was on the smart device. On the smart device, when I landed this, it feathered a lot at the bottom and wouldn't land until I actually brought it down. Whereas on the transmitter, it just came down, no issue whatsoever. So yeah, a little bit and ahhing. I much prefer it on the transmitter, and what I would say is if you are going to use it on the smartphone, test it indoors first to see what it's like. Don't take her outside and just use her. But all in all, I'm happy with how she flies, but I'm only happy with how she flies on the transmitter. On the smartphone, no. Well, the transmitter is your standard Syma transmitter, and to be honest with you, there's no problems with it whatsoever. I had no issues auto taking off, auto landing, moving the quadcopter around this pitch without any issue. The only one problem I did have, and that is with the 3D flips and rolls. So what I noticed is that it only flipped twice in a succession. Any other time like that, I'd have to wait 10 seconds, and then it would flip again. Wait 10 seconds, and then I could flip it again. A little bit strange. I've not come across that before. But other than that, I think it was okay, to be honest. I think it was all right. The transmitter fits nice in your hand. There's no issues whatsoever. Obviously, you can put your smartphone on the top here for when you wanted to record some video, but use the transmitter as your main controlling mechanism. Yeah, so all in all, very good. So there we are, folks. Thanks ever so much for watching and listening. I've been JD, you've been fantastic as always. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Hello and welcome to all the new subscribers. I hope you're enjoying the channel. So until next time, my friends, happy flying. Hey folks, JD here, and today we've got this guy. This is the Syma X56W, and it's a folding quadcopter. So what I've done for the second is, since taking it out of my bag, I've just extended the propeller arms, just ready for flight. So a couple of things to note. First of all, I'm going to now attach this battery. So as you can see, small battery, huge battery bay door. That's the total opposite of what we usually have. And I'm just going to connect this battery. Oh, there we go. Okay, that's now nice and closed. So we've now got the battery connected. The camera lens is just pointing a little bit down. I don't know how well you can see that, but it's just pointing ever so slightly down. What I'm going to do is just point that directly ahead, so when we are moving, when it does pitch forward, we then see exactly what we want to see and we're not looking too far down. The landing sprigs all have their little bit of rubber bungs on the bottom of them. Everything else is all done up. I've checked to make sure that these propellers, as I haven't put them on, are all put on nice. They're all nice and tight and there's no issues there. In order to record the video, we have to use an application called Syma Go. Now don't worry too much if you don't know a lot about this app. I'm not going to go into it in too much detail now, because tomorrow we have a video based on this app. I don't like giving away what videos come out very soon, but still, with this you do have to know something about it, so I'm going to do an actual video on it. Alright, so now then, to start, we should just push up once on this analog transmitter and the motors automatically start. So now we should just be able to take her straight up. And here she is, the Syma X56W. So obviously she has altitude hold. That is a nice little feature of this quadcopter, but there's one thing that I'm not liking about this straight off the bat, and I'm sure you can guess what it is. Yes, you're right, it is loud motors. Her turning circle is pretty good. She's got a great, she has got very good stability. She is not having any difficulty in turning. She's not having any difficulty in banking. She turns really quickly, and also, if you want her to, she turns really slowly as well. Now obviously she is in the highest speed mode here, speed mode setting 3, which I find that a little bit strange. I'm just going off the beeps I heard, whereas she only has 2 speed modes, not 3. Okay, let's take her up a little bit higher. That's a little bit too low to the ground for my liking. Alright, so flips. 1 flip completed, really well. I often get a little bit anxious when there's a quadcopter of this size and they flip. I often find that the nano quadcopters flipping do a much better job, but this guy, fair play, you just got to make sure you have enough altitude, so when she does flip and she does right to herself, she has plenty of room to do it. So let's bring a little bit closer, bring her up a little bit, and then using the right shoulder button, we get some lovely flips from her. So let's take her up again. Let's do it one last time. So we did a forward flip, we've done a sideward flip. Let's do a backward flip. Oh, someone's setting off fireworks nearby by the sound of it. But here we go. We have a very good quadcopter, a very loud quadcopter. I'm not too happy about that, if I'm honest. But she is performing the task of flying backwards and forwards really well. She flips really well. Let's see what she's like when she lands. So let's bring her into more or less a hover, as we've got there, and then let's bring her down. She lands and the motors turn off almost immediately. That's really quite nice. Let's have a look at the state of the rubber bungs underneath her now that we have landed. Fine, a couple of little dents as you'd expect from the hard gravel, but other than that, she's looking really good. So once again, to start her, I didn't show this very well the first time, so I'm going to show it now. Push up, and release, and then we have motors are ready to go. So just push up once on the left analog stick and release, and then the motors automatically start. And she remembered as well her last known configuration for which speed setting she was on as well, which is very handy. Rather than trying to figure out which speed setting she's on, she's automatically on speed setting 1. Now back into speed setting 2. Yeah, this guy is pretty good. I think this guy is a contender for the top spot off the Skytech. If I'm honest, the Skytech I found to be excellent in almost everything. But this guy is just as excellent, so I think, to be honest, we're going to have to put them side by side and see which one comes out better at a later date. Yeah, this one, if it wasn't for the loud motors, it would be brilliant. But I'm sorry, I'm not a fan of loud motors. There's no excuse for it. Remarkable, really good. Really stable. Flies really well in a straight line, turns really well if on the highest speed mode. She banks to the left, banks to the right really well. She turns really well. Altitude holds her at a given altitude really well as well. The barometer inside works very good. Motors are a bit loud, not much of a fan of that. But what does make things a little bit better, the fact that she does have folding propeller arms, altitude hold that works really well. Look at that. Now I'm not moving now. It's got a little bit of a breeze here today, so she is moving slightly. But that is really good. And above all else, the landing sprigs don't look as if they can do much, but to be honest with you, they hold really well when you land. The battery life, well, we're still experiencing the battery life. I think she's been up so far for about 11 minutes. So again, this is like the Skytech. Oh, lights are flashing. There we are. So battery is now low. So let's bring her back and let's get a verdict on this guy. Okay, let's bring him forward a bit more. And let's land him. There we are, lovely. Alright, let's get a verdict. Alright, so what do I think? Right, well, straight off the bat, motors, very loud, don't need to be, and I'll tell you why they don't need to be. There are so many different types of motors out there. But in order to obviously keep costs low, then motors have to be used which are not as quiet, a little bit louder, and this is what I think is what's happened in this particular quadcopter. And that is a shame, because this excels on so many levels. Folding propeller arms takes up absolutely no room in your bag. The camera is really good. The fact that it all records directly onto your smartphone, that's another good feature. The fact that this is really sturdy, that's a good feature. These little rubber bungs under here work really well when you land it. It just lands straight away. Yes, there's a couple of depressions in there from the gravel, but to be honest with you, that is to be expected. That's not the end of the world. Battery life is fantastic. I mean, we had 11 and a half minutes out of this guy before the battery lights were flashing, and then I brought it down. If I'd kept it up, it probably could have got to the 12-minute mark. Transmitter, standard Syma transmitter, but still works very well in this configuration. The 3D flips work phenomenally, forward, back, left and right without any issues. Altitude hold works excellently again. So everything is ticked on this particular quadcopter. If you don't mind loud motors, then that's not going to be much of an issue. I do mind them, and I think there's no excuse for them. So therefore, personally, I think that's one major downer. But obviously, that's just my findings. Now, a couple of other great things about this copter is that she's very aerodynamic, and this cuts through the air without any issues as well. If she's on speed mode 1, you will find that you do have to take into consideration that you do have to start turning her before you want to turn her, so that she does complete that full rotation and starts to come back to you. Because as she's turning, she still flies backwards. So if you're going forward, let me just demonstrate. If you're going forward and then you start to turn, she still goes forward until she's fully turned, and then the motors start to power her forward. So you do have to make sure you have plenty of room to do that. On speed mode 2, which is the highest setting, you don't need to make sure as much, because she will just turn around and come back to you straight away. She's very, very quick in doing that on speed mode 2, so just be warned. So there we are, folks. So thanks ever so much for watching and listening. I've been JD. You've been fantastic as always. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Hello and welcome to all the new subscribers. I hope you're enjoying the channel. So until next time, my friends, happy flying.